The only reason why Palacios isn't first is because this guy, Patrik Schick, is the master of late goals, and based on how many of them he scored, he probably doesn't have a soul either because he sold it to the devil.
And remember, Leverkusen were the team of late shows last season. They've done it again at the start of this campaign. Patrik Schick.
Being clutch is, in my opinion, one of the most important things for a player to be in any sport, let alone football. And not only that, it's one of the most debated topics across all sporting realms. In football, Didier Drogba is seen as one of the most clutch players of all time because of his sensational goal-scoring record when playing in a final, which, by the way, is 10 goals in 10 finals with 10 trophies. The ultimate big game player. However, that title was fiercely debated back then, and it still is today. For example, you have players like Di Maria, who has scored in 4 international finals and won them all, including the 2022 World Cup. So when a team is losing and their backs are against the wall, who can they call on to provide a miracle, a last-second play to win the match? Who will be that player to not only have the guts to actually step up to that position, but then to actually execute the play as well? Well, if you watched Leverkusen last season, you'll know all about their many comebacks, which means you'll have heard of this man, Patrik Schick. Even though the entire Leverkusen team stepped up to provide moments of magic during their miraculous season, it was Schick who seemed to do it more often than any of his teammates, oftentimes when he was needed most. Now, I'm obviously not saying that Schick is as talented as Drogba or Di Maria, or that his career is as good as theirs. What I am saying is that his clutch ability would have had him in a courtroom during the Salem witch trials, because honestly, like, it's witchcraft. It's a little scary at this point. So to establish just how clutch Patrik Schick really is, we need to define what being clutch is, because it's more than just about scoring in a final. Being clutch is broadly about creating plays that significantly impact the outcome of a game. So yes, scoring in a final is obviously clutch, but so is saving a shot in the second half of just the second match week. I had to include this somehow, like, it makes me tingly watching it again. Now we'll touch on that second part later, but for now, let's talk about the part of being clutch that everyone knows about, which is about scoring in those dire situations. As I mentioned earlier, both Leverkusen and Schick made a habit of scoring late goals in order to salvage their incredible unbeaten record of 51 matches. That is until Panenka penalty specialist Ademola Lookman dropped 3 on their head. During their historic unbeaten run, Leverkusen scored 24 goals past the 85th minute, and 15 of them were to either equalize or take the lead. Over 1/4 of those dramatic goals were scored by Schick himself in just a span of 5 matches, all while being the only true striker available because Victor Boniface was injured and Borja Iglesias was loaned in a month before and did not know the system. During that March window, he scored goals that won his team matches, rescued his team from losing their unbeaten run, and prevented an early elimination from the Europa League, although it didn't mean much because, again, they got dunked on by this guy. Oh, and as for scoring in finals, Patrik Schick has actually technically been a part of 3 of them. One was the DFB Pokal final, where he had to be subbed off for a defender at halftime because a center back teammate got a red card. Another was the Europa League final, when he was subbed on in the 81st minute when his team was already down 3-0. I mean, not even the love child of Schick and Drogba could have saved a team in this situation. And finally, you have the German Super Cup final, when he came on as a sub in the 73rd minute while his team was down a goal and down a man, but scored in the 88th minute anyway to send the game to penalties and win the trophy. Patrik Schick was able to significantly change the game, the very definition of clutch, within just 15 minutes. And in that short amount of time in which he was able to do it in is actually something that adds to his special ability, and the next thing we'll talk about: his impact moments. Now, unfortunately for Schick, he has had a very big problem with injuries during his career. Since joining the Bundesliga in 2019, he's missed 11 or more matches in every season except one, where he still missed 8 of them. and because of this, he's only played over 2,000 minutes in 2 seasons. That means in his least injury-ridden seasons, he played a combined 25 minutes worth of games across every competition. To put that in perspective, Bukayo Saka played nearly 33 matches worth of minutes in just the Premier League alone. Now, the reason I'm talking about Schick's missed games alongside his body made of glass bones and paper skin is because even while losing out on valuable playing time, he still produces a very respectable goal contribution record. Yes, there's going to be some math and statistics here. Does that really surprise you? I have a book about math. Now, his last 5 seasons looked like this in regards to his stats. In all but 1 season, he managed at least 13 goal contributions, and in the one that he didn't, included the longest injury spell of his career, plus Leverkusen just being awful. Now, you may look at his matches played and think that his goal contribution return is actually not that good, which if we were just looking at that specifically, I would agree. However, when you consider not only his injuries, but also the fact that he would routinely play a shockingly low amount of minutes, whether that was to get a match fit from his injuries or because someone else was in front of him, that below average goal return suddenly looks significantly better. In his debut season, for example, he managed 13 goal contributions in just over 1,600 minutes of game time. That equals about 18 matches, and suddenly, those 13 goal contributions seem a lot better. The following year was arguably his worst statistical season besides his injury-filled one, getting 15 goal contributions in 25 matches worth of minutes, which is honestly still not too bad. But last year, during the 2023-24 season, is what I really want to highlight. Overall, Schick managed 13 goals and 3 assists in 33 matches. Again, not something that seems impressive. Looking at it more closely though, you'll see he only managed 17 matches worth of minutes. That means he was averaging a goal contribution almost every single game. And not just that, he also only played 80 minutes or more in 5 matches, meaning his impact routinely came in a short amount of time. And as for how many games he missed due to injury, it was actually his second worst in terms of an injury-filled season, missing 15 matches. And lastly, of the 103 matches worth of minutes that Schick has played while in Germany, he has gotten 78 goal contributions, a 76% return. Compare this to Didier Drogba, who, as we mentioned before, is also very clutch, has played 539 matches worth of minutes and gotten 429 goal contributions, a 79% return. Now again, I'm not comparing the two based on their overall career or overall ability, but I'm just pointing out Schick's ability to change a match regardless of how many minutes he is actually given. That's part of the reason why he's so dangerous. However, what adds to that ability is the fact that he has been doing this for seasons. Consistently. To go back to the definition of being clutch, it says that it's a moment that impacts a game at any point during the match. Like I said before, it doesn't matter if it's a last-minute goal to win the Champions League final or a save in the second match week. Players who are clutch will routinely make plays that heavily change the outcome of the game. Thankfully for us, attackers, namely strikers, have a pretty easy way to determine if they've been impactful in a game, and that's with goals and assists. Now at the same time, however, we've seen attackers pad their stats and get many goals and assists in low pressure matches or against opponents who are significantly worse than them. So let's go back and take a look at Patrik Schick's goal contributions again, but this time we'll only be looking at the ones that either equalized the match or had his team take the lead. We'll be starting in his debut season in Germany in 2019 once again, mostly because he played as a right winger in almost half of his matches at Roma. Yeah, no, I don't know either. During his time in Germany, he has gotten a goal contribution in 62 matches, and 41 of them involved equalizing or taking the lead. That means that he wasn't scoring a random goal in the 90th minute of a game that was already over. His goal contributions would routinely matter. And let's compare this to Haaland now, who has scored in 59 matches for Manchester City. In 37 of those were to equalize or take the lead. For Haaland, that's a 62% rate, and for Schick, that is a 66% rate. Now again, I want to say that I'm not comparing Schick and Haaland in terms of ability. I just know someone's going to take this out of context. And I know that stats do not mean everything either. At the same time, it's clear to see that Schick has something that gives his team and the fans hope. Regardless of the situation, whether his team is tied, down a goal, or down a man, he always gives his team a chance. And it's already seeped over into this season. They've done it again. A game-winning goal in the 11th minute of stoppage time? Yeah, no, they're witches. Burn them all.